It's a new year, and I know you all received this email, I guess, with the link and the different documents that have been changed by Rain yet again. It wasn't anything too major. On the purchase agreement in paragraph 11, and we talked about paragraph 11 at our last meeting, back up at the first part of paragraph 11, they've now put the blank back in where you put the purchase price actually in the offer rather than in the just on the front page. So just to note that, so that if there is a change of price based on an escalation clause or something like that, you now have to not only change it on the front page, but also change it in paragraph 11, just like we used to in the past. Then on the standard new the only other thing they did in the purchase agreement is just add a few additional blank lines to paragraph 20, which is other provisions. They always seem to lag on the new construction. They seem to wait to see how the changes go with the standard purchase agreement for 6 months or so, and then they add them to the new construction agreement. So they've just added the appraisal contingency in the new construction agreement to match the one in the standard purchase agreement. No big deal there. And then there's a number of changes having to do with dates that Lucy may have something to say about later on. In the listing agreement, now you have just until the next business day, not 2 days, to input the listing. So I thought perhaps that could be a significant change for your input with Rain goes. And then
that actually came out last year, and they're just now implementing it into the language of the listing agreement. So we're used to that.
Okay, so that's not a big surprise. Good. And then there were a bunch of things having to do with the flood zones. In the listing agreement, I'm sorry, not in the listing agreement, but in the summary of rights and obligations, they've changed it, not too much there, but to reference a Virginia flood risk information website, which I've not looked at, honestly. The seller still doesn't have to disclose that the property is in a flood zone. There's nothing in the code to require that, but they're trying now to provide the buyer with more resources to be able to verify the flood zone for themselves. Because there's some people who just simply don't want to buy a property, and I understand this, that's in or near a flood zone because they don't want to have to deal with the cost of the flood insurance or the potential flooding. So that is the only thing that they've added to the summary of rights. The CDIF, on the other hand, they've added a bunch of stuff to that. And this is a masterful document. I really like the CDIF, but I realize no one ever reads it. But it tells every buyer everything that the seller isn't going to tell them. So I think that's great. So paragraph 7B of the CDIF also gives the additional information on where they can look for the flood information. If you haven't looked at this document in a while, just for yourself, it's always a good read, especially if you're a new agent. But then in paragraph 22, they've taken out the paragraph that says the owner makes no representation regarding historic district. Not a big deal because they're still not making a representation. But the couple things that they did add, you have to disclose that the property is in a tourism activity zone, or that you may disclose if it's in a tourism activity zone. I honestly don't know if that affects any of the properties that we would be dealing with here. If any of you have ever listed one that's in a tourism activity zone, I'd be interested to know about it. But it's places where there may be street closures for parades or impacts by special events with traffic and noise and so forth. You have to, in paragraph E under 22, under the CDIF, you now have to disclose if there's an on-site stormwater facility that the owner has to maintain. And honestly, the only neighborhood in Virginia Beach that I've ever seen one of these is in Thalia, some new builds in Thalia. There's like a bed of plantings along one side of the property that has to be maintained in a certain way because those, apparently that area is supposed to keep moisture. It's supposed to keep water there. I don't know why. It helps mitigate flooding and stormwater, but that's the only time I've seen it in this area is in a few new builds in Thalia. Your typical subdivisions like Rosemont Forest or other places where you've got a drainage ditch along the back, it's not having to be maintained by the owner, but it's just there. I don't think that's intended to be something that your seller has to disclose. Unfortunately, it's not clear, but it's not, if it's not maintained, I don't think by the owner, I don't think they mean for you to have to disclose it. Otherwise, you do have to disclose it. One thing that I thought was significant, even though the seller doesn't have to disclose the flood zone, they do have to disclose if it's the property has been subject to a repetitive risk loss. And I'm thinking that's broad. What does that mean? And what it means is that there have been 2 or more claims of more than $1,000 paid under the National Flood Insurance Program within any 10-year period since 1978. So unfortunately, if your sellers only owned the property since say 1999 or something like that, they're not going to know necessarily back to 1978. But it has to do with what they actually know. They don't have to go research it for themselves before listing the property. It's if they know of any 2 flood losses within that within the 10-year period. So that's just one new disclosure if you're listing a property in a flood zone. After that, things like the purchase price escalation addendum, and Lucy will know, well, no, I think this is not one where there's rain time frames. They basically just tightened up the procedure of what you have to do if you're using the escalation addendum. So now the seller has to provide the competing offer when they submit to the buyer. Before it was optional to include the offer. And then the buyer could come back and ask for it, but now instead of wasting that time, they're requiring the seller to include the competing offer when they send the addendum to escalate the price. And then it also makes it more clear what happens if the buyer thinks the competing offer is hokey and doesn't want to go with the escalation. It gives them only 2 days to deliver a release agreement. So it's just tightening up the procedure. I'm sure that Rain had gotten some complaints or something to cause that to be added. Then under the next document, the property under contract fall through report off market, it's simply changing a time frame to align with Rain's rules. I don't know, Lucy, if that's something that's new and they just added to the document, or they just added it to the document, or what?
I find it interesting that they bothered with this document because I can't remember the last time I saw it used.
Okay. Yeah, I guess it's like if you terminate, if a contract's been terminated or something like that, and I don't know, you want to get it back.
It's tightening up their timeline like they did with the input time. They're saying that the reporting time to Rain is what's noted in here. It's changed to 2 days from 5 days. So when you all have your ratified contracts, you need to make sure and get them submitted post haste, because we now only have 2 days to report them to Rain instead of 5. That's what that's doing. But we don't use this form because we have online internal checks and balances. Okay,
good to know. Well, that is all there is. Thankfully, they didn't do anything too overwhelming this time. Any questions? That's all I have.
No, that's all that we had for that. Is there any questions on any of this for Susan at all?
Not yet.
Any questions we have for Susan that may have come up in the last month that you would like to ask her while she is on here? Let me just double check the chat, Susan, real quick. I just want to make sure that there is nothing in there. Looks like we're good.
Hey, Susan, would Sandbridge be considered like a tourism area for a listing to be disclosed?
That's a good question. I personally don't think so, but I'm not sure where you find out if your property is in a tourism activity zone. I guess there is, looking at this, that there is a code section 15.2-982 that lists them. And I've never, honestly, didn't even know that code section existed. So Munesh, I'll look that up and I'll email you to let you know. And if you think it's important to share with the company.
Virginia Beach won't do anything with Airbnb.
Okay, thank you.
I do have one question, Susan. I'm not sure if Stacy reached out to you. Has she reached out to you yet in the past 24 hours?
I don't think so.
Okay, so her situation was this. She may have gotten it resolved, but I'd like to have your opinion on it. She has a client who listed their home with her and it went under contract. The day after it went under contract with the buyer, the seller ended up not getting the move and package that they were promised from their attorney. I'm sorry, their company. They are now qualified for less to purchase a home. Let's just say instead of 300,000, they qualify for 250. They still qualify to purchase a home, but now they don't want to buy because they qualify for less and they're ratified with a buyer. On the selling side, for the seller, what is there to get out of the contract besides waiting on inspections and things like, is there anything we can do? Because I could not think of one darn thing. And so I said, call Susan.
Well, I mean, I can't think of anything either. They certainly didn't, they didn't put a contingency, and that would have been an
Right.
odd contingency anyway. So no, I think they're in a little bit of a pickle here. And honestly, if they were to decide they wanted to breach the contract, sometimes it gets down to the, what's going to happen to us if we just breach this contract, and it may. I don't know, they could go and just be honest with the buyer and say, look, we've had a change of circumstances. Unfortunately, it's not as sympathetic as some changes of circumstances are, because they obviously acted a little rashly. But no, there's no out under rain for a seller in this situation. All the remaining outs are for the buyer at this point.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to make sure. Me and Lucy and I, we could not think of anything. So I sent her to you, but I wasn't sure. Sometimes you have a strategic way of coming up with things. So I figured, might as well send her to you, but I'll also let her know that. And then the other question I had was, I know there's 2 additional attorneys there besides you and Austin. Are we allowed to reach out to them, or should I tell the agents to continue only reaching out to you and Austin?
You certainly are, and I can send everyone their contact information. I meant to try to get our newer attorney, Jesse Weiss, on the this morning, but I forgot to send him the information to log in. But we will make sure that he's on next month. I'm sure some people have met him at closing.
Yeah.
Probably the best thing to do is just email all 4 of us. And Kim will be back. Kim Shepherd will be back part-time later on this month.
That would be great. I'll definitely do that. If you want to send it to me, Susan, I'll get it out to everybody. If you want
that sounds good.
Yep, the email, contact information. I'll make sure everybody has it. I just didn't want to tell them all if we were only designated with you and Austin. This is a new one for me for you guys to have 4 attorneys. So congratulations on that. That's really great. Yeah. So congratulations.
Thank you. Yes, the Lord has been kind to us.
Yes. Well, I hope you had a wonderful holiday season and that your New Year's was great. And we appreciate you so much, Susan.
Thank you. It's been good to see you all this morning.
Thanks again, Susan.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. All right, guys, so we have Craigan. Let me get, whoops, I'm getting ahead of myself. All right, Craigan, I have your slide up. You can stay there, here. It's all up to you, wherever you want.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say, because it's kind of hard to see when you're back. Okay, go ahead.
all right, so we'll get to that in a second. That's my, not cliffhanger.
Okay,
What's the other thing?
here, I won't put it up.
Yeah.
Apex?
Kinda, yeah, whatever. Go.
Can you tell everybody the company and everything about
Oh,
it?
yeah.
Because that's new for
Great.
everyone, right?
So, yes, so Captain Mortgage and Courtney have officially moved to American Financial Network. We went there because a couple of reasons. One, because they do lend direct to Fannie and Freddie. So what does that mean for us and for you? It means that less conditions for our borrowers because they're kind of taking out the middleman. And in addition to that, we kind of control our own destiny in a sense where we can officially get the best rate for our clients. So there was a couple of reasons why we left. Tidewater Mortgage is a great company. They gave us a lot of support in the time that we were there. Like I said, but you know, just like everybody, the butterfly has to fly away at some point, right? It can't always be a caterpillar. So, all right. So what I wanted to kind of talk to you guys about, so forgive me, I did make notes because it's kind of wordy, but I'll try and keep it as clear and concise as possible. So we're going to talk self-employed borrowers today with lessons learned with it's like the third time. Lessons learned with a lender. Okay. Anyway.
You kind of jumbled it all together, so it took me a second to process what you're saying.
Anyway, so self-employed borrowers, we're going to talk about that today. So we've had some issues recently with self-employed borrowers, real estate agents as well. So that's why I always like to bring real estate agents something, because we do business with real estate agents, meaning we get homes for real estate agents as well as their clients. So we have to go off of the gross, and or we can't go off the gross like we can with other employers or employees, I should say. Meaning W-2 employees, we go off their gross. Self-employed, we have to go off the net on what's on their taxes. And that's been a huge misnomer with self-employed borrowers. Now, there are situations when we can go off. I'm sorry?
Repeat the last thing you said.
Okay, yes, so usually with W-2 employees, we can go off of just their gross income. Whereas with self-employed, we have to go off of their net, what's on their taxes. Like, I'm not gonna say adjusted gross income because I don't want to misspeak, but it basically, we can't just go off of, yes, I made $1 million last year,
Right.
but you only made on paper $50,000 because you had so many write-offs. Obviously, that's the name of the game. Unfortunately, when it comes to buying a house, we need more money on paper. Is basically what it boils down to. But there is a caveat to that. If the business has been in business for 5 years, you can take an average of the last with the last year using the net income. If that makes sense to you. Basically, if you've shown longevity, shown that you've been in business for a period of time, then we can actually start utilizing that net income. Unfortunately, most real estate agents aren't like, you know, some of you in this room where they've only been in business for 1, 2, 3 years, or other small businesses that just opened up, you know? So we always like to say it's not a no, it's just maybe a not right now, you know? So then there's another big one, loss, right? We talk about loss and COVID and things like that. So, oh, well, COVID, I lost this money. Well, guess what? If it's been at greater than a 25% loss year over year, meaning, I'm gonna break it down, in 2020, you made 2019, you made 100,000, but then in 2020, you made 50,000, guess what? That's a big no-no, because it's greater than 25% loss year over year. Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions over what I just said? Because that's huge, yes.
Do you require the paperwork signed by the buyer saying that they took no loss?
Well, we're gonna get it in their tax returns. That's the big thing with that.
Okay, but a lot of people right now are requiring.
I'm sorry, I'm so sorry.
Oh, let's do it at the same time. Go ahead. Ready and say go.
Yes, yes.
I was just gonna ask, some lenders, like if they had like a weird year where they took a hit, like say somebody in their family fell ill, so they had to pull back, they can do a letter of explanation and get an exemption for it. Is that something that you guys offer?
As far as an explanation, to answer your question, we would have to take the lesser of the 2 years, or the lesser of the 3 years.
Okay,
Okay.
but if they made slightly less, is there, I've had lenders where they require a piece of paperwork stating that where they are signing saying that they took no loss, that it was just a different year.
You know, they're always just gonna go off
Just
with it.
curious.
No, I understand. So I always say documentation replaces conversation.
Okay.
Okay, so that's gonna be my answer to most questions when it comes to that type of question. And then ultimately, it's up to the eyes of the underwriter. When we have a borrower like this, me personally, I send it to the underwriter 100% of the time, because guess what? I say never, knock on wood. I'm never gonna put any of you in this room on Zoom in the position to make an offer on a house where I have not verified their income 100%, especially for self-employed borrowers. Because I'm not wasting your time, I'm not wasting the listing agent's time, and I'm not trying to waste my time or the client's time, because what is it? It's a waste of time. So that's why I say I try to get as much documentation up front as possible. But to answer your question, I think I may have answered it. I kind of gave you
You're
the
good.
politically
You
correct
answered
answer.
it.
I danced around, but, so yeah. As far as employee, real estate agents, we do require a commission report, if you were gonna buy a home this year. In addition to your 2 years of tax returns, it's basically, the commission report is basically like a year-to-date profit and loss statement that we would normally get for a self-employed borrower. Does all that make sense? Yes, okay, cool. Okay, so now let's jump to this.
Quickly.
Has everybody heard the Fed obviously is going up in rates? We all know that. I'm sure if you've seen anything on the internet, the last week and a half, the Fed is going up. Where the big hit is second homes, okay? Second homes is taking the big hit. Jumbo loans are also taking a big hit. Jumbo loans are going up 1%. That's what this says. High balance loan is basically a jumbo loan, anything over 647. So it's going up depending on your down payment. Your loan to value obviously is your down payment. So if it's 80 to 85, that's 20 to 15% down payment. You're looking at 1% rate hike. So that jumbo loan that was 3.5% is now 4.5%. And then the second home is the one that's really taken a huge hit. Why? Because what people are doing is they're buying this home in Florida or North Carolina or wherever that's more than 50 or 100 miles, whatever the time frame is, farther from their house, and they're putting only 10% down, not 20% down, making it an investment property and doing what? Renting it out Airbnb or VRBO. And
Nothing like lying.
I mean,
Nothing like some pretty fun morning.
it's what at the end of the day, it's what do you have? I have the intent to occupy that for 25% of the time, yes. But guess what? My grandmother got sick and I can no longer occupy that for 25% of the time. I'm just gonna rent it out. At that point, the deal is done and there's no like police coming to get you, right? Say, oh, well, you're not staying there 25% of the time. Nobody knows. There's too much stuff going on. So the big thing is what they're trying to do is they're trying to curb that second home. But, and you can see it, if you put 20% down on a second home investment or a second home property, it's now a rate hike of 4.125. That is huge. That is huge. I mean, so now that, because second home rates right now, this, by the way, this goes in effect April 1st. So if you are planning on buying a second home, or if your clients are planning on buying a second home, you better find them one now, so that we can close immediately. So,
How far the second home has to be in distance from primary?
you know, I've heard so many different things. I've heard 50 miles. I've heard 100 miles. I've also heard if you live in Chesapeake and you want to buy a home at the oceanfront, no, it's not 50 miles. However, it is a condo at the oceanfront, and there are underwriters that have approved that. 100% they have approved that. So it's in the eye of the underwriter when it comes to that, but clear cut, I say 100 miles, just because I'm trying to cover my bases, CYA. But you know, it's just up to the underwriter. Really, you find a home, you say, Craig, let's see if the underwriter will accept it. I mean, it's basically what it boils down to. Now, if you go buy a home in North Carolina and you live here, like in the Outer Banks, 100% that's a second home. So that being said, that was what I really wanted to talk about to you, is this big number here, this 4.125 or 4.125. Let me ask you this, why would you buy a home that's a second home, put 20% down and have a rate hike of 4.125? You wouldn't. You would just do it as an investment property, put 20% down. The big thing is with the second home, you only have to put 10% down. So you see the numbers are across the board the same. I don't know why they even have this in there, because as far as I know, you have to put at least 10% down on a second home. We're not even gonna go there. But yeah, basically my point is the second home rates right now are pretty close to conventional primary rates, right? 3.5% is what we'll say. Please, nobody write that down. I'm not allowed to tell you. But no, seriously. So now you're looking at 3.5%, add 4% to that. And where are you at now? You're almost at 8% on a second home when you can do that, or same thing as an investment property at 4%, 4.5%, 5%. So that's why they're trying to just curb the whole, I'm going to buy this home and put 10% down and get a great rate because I'm going to occupy for 25% of the time. That's all I had. That was my cliffhanger turned into. So that was the other thing too. One more thing. Thank you, Munish. Investment property is 20% down. However, 25% down, the rate gets extremely better. Usually like 0.5% better, at least, depending on credit score, obviously. So that's something to think about. Is if you're going to put 20% down, it would probably be more value added, unless you're planning on getting rid of this home in the next year or two, to find a way to get the extra 5%, because you're going to get a much better interest rate. Okay. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So if somebody wanted to buy down points after the 25%, how much would you advise them to spend at the most for each point?
I would tell them to do the math,
Okay.
honestly. And I don't mind helping them do the math, but there's a lot of people that ask that question. They are the engineer, they are the doctor. They're gonna go do the math for themselves because they're not gonna trust my math, which I don't blame them, you know, I mean, do your own research, right? But yes, 100% do the math. Do you plan on owning that home for the next 10 years? Do the math on it. What's the payout? Okay, well, it's gonna take me 63 months to pay this thing and break even. Then yes, I'm gonna live there for the next 10 years, so it makes sense. But if they're only gonna live there for the next 3 years, and it's gonna take them 63 months to see a net tangible benefit, then absolutely not. Yes, ma'am.
So with the 10% down, you have to pay mortgage insurance.
Correct, yes. You would pay mortgage insurance, or we could do what's called upfront mortgage insurance, where you would basically pay an upfront fee, you know, a couple $1,000s, and then you would just not have that in your monthly payment.
Okay, so that's a choice.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. Anybody else?
Great, I'm going to have you ask a question, and this is only for people that are here. If you are here, you can participate in this. You're gonna ask a mortgage question. It can be something that you went over. I'll get off the screen in case it's something that you want to use up there. Look at Lisa's lovely face. And whoever answers it, raise your hand, don't shout it out, raise your hand. You get to pick a bottle of, I think it's all wine.
Prosecco.
Okay, once per second. Okay, thanks. I was like, I don't know if that's champagne. But anyway, go ahead and ask a question, and let's see, you have to be here in order to win the alcohol.
Let's see.
In person winnings only.
This is a good one, actually.
Okay.
Did it have to be something I have to go over, or did I go? Okay, cool. So when does mortgage insurance have to drop off? Have to drop off?
When you reach 20% of your,
Wrong. Have to come off. It might be too hard.
That's okay. Wait,
Yes, ma'am.
I think, wait. Holly had her hand up. No, is that right?
I'm not confident with my answer.
Okay, go ahead,
I'm not confident either.
Okay.
We're talking about conventional loan, by the way, not FHA or anything else. Conventional loan, I'm sorry.
Under 10 years?
Wrong.
Okay.
11 years on an FHA loan, if you put 10% down, boom, there's a little, I said it kind of fast, but I'll repeat it if you want.
Well, I was just gonna say when they refinance it to a conventional loan and it's no longer required, but
So it's 11 years?
Well, that's an FHA. I'm sorry, I went down a rabbit hole. I'm talking about conventional loan. When does mortgage insurance have to come off? Have to come off.
Okay,
It's a
go.
requirement.
And
not
Holly
that you can
said
ask
what?
for it.
I didn't realize he was talking about specifically conventional. I was gonna say when they refinance into conventional.
Oh, okay,
It's
got
not wrong. That's not a wrong answer.
When the loan to value drops below 20%.
That's wrong.
Oh, this is a good one,
It's a
Craig.
different percentage. It's a different percentage. It's a huge misnomer. That's why I'm asking.
Yes, I love
If
it.
you reach 60% of the loan payoff?
Wrong.
No, like,
I love this. I love it. Hold on, Craig, hold on, because I'm gonna have you do the
She's the
answer.
closest for whatever it's
Yeah,
worth.
okay, ready?
That was a great
Now,
answer.
Craig, I want you to ask the question.
Yeah.
Okay? Go ahead, ask the question.
When is it required for mortgage insurance to come off of a conventional loan?
And everyone in here really tried hard, but we could not answer it. And the answer is,
At 78% loan to value.
There we
When
go.
it's required.
see, let's,
Required.
I love
So
it.
at 80%.
Okay, so
you
here's
can
what's gonna
request- You
happen.
can request your lender to take it off.
That's
Maybe
Craig,
not have to
which
lease.
one do you want? Which one do you want?
The Prosecco maybe? I don't know.
That was a good question. Come with one every month, please.
That was not prepared. That was definitely off the top. 'cause
Well,
usually-
don't prepare next time either,
Yeah, she put me on that.
because that was really, really good.
And that's good information.
I love
The
it.
You
closest?
got it close. That was a good answer.
Aw,
That was a good answer, honestly.
good job. Thank
Because that
you,
is a good answer,
Craig.
because guess what? That's a 2-for-1 for me. If I close you on a deal and then 5 years later, you hit me up and you're like, hey, I'm ready to refinance, that's a 2-for-1.
I'm gonna tell you this
That's not a
right
wrong
now.
answer.
We have some really amazing lenders in our office, and if you don't use them just off of their knowledge alone, just know that they have huge kind hearts and would do anything for you. He just gave away his Prosecco. So it's, like for real, they're knowledgeable. They will jump on anything for you. I meet with them personally multiple times a week to make sure that everything is on the up and up for you guys, that you guys are getting what's needed. I literally have conversations with this guy at least 3 to 4 times a week, and we see each other in person 2 to 3. We just had a meeting yesterday. And the other two lenders are amazing too. We had the best lenders that I've ever had in real estate in 16 years in this office, guys. So all three of our lenders are amazing. So please utilize him at least one time, You never know if he is the one for you unless you try him out one time. Same with the other two lenders as well. Just try them out. I will tell you, the one nice thing is that Cragen and I, we are now part of the Freedom Boat Club. And so, yeah, so this is a little perk that we're gonna tell you about. So Craig and I are part of that, so we can get, you know, the boats to take our boat. Those of you that have went with Craig before. Now, I own a boat. Y'all, most of y'all know that, right? I own a boat and mine's in Chesapeake. So this one though, they have Norfolk and then they also have Newport News.
Norfolk, Virginia Beach, or I'm sorry, Norfolk is East
Two
Beach.
places, yeah.
And then they have Portsmouth, and they
Yeah.
are getting ready to open up in Hampton, if you know where Blue Water,
There we go, Hampton, thank you.
Hampton is right next to Surfrider, and I just talked to Andy 2 days ago, he just signed a contract to open one in Smithfield. So that effectively they're gonna have, yeah, they're gonna have four locations, and the one in Smithfield obviously gonna have a lot of pontoon boats because of
Yeah.
the river.
So for us, they offered for me to be part of this club at a very, very minimal price. And it's because they want me to take you guys out and give you guys a lot of great things, not to mention, one of our agents actually works there. So in order for us to, Olivia, I don't know if you guys know Olivia Ford, for those of you that do, yeah, so she works there. And so they have been very generous to me and Graham. But the reason I'm telling you this is because futuristically, we are going to be drawing names at this meeting, because after this meeting, we are going to start having, when it's warm and not raining, right? We're going to start having our Stump the Broker on the boats. And so they, it's, when he says Portsmouth, it's just right across the
It's
water.
literally, you could throw a rock.
Yeah.
It's right
So-
there.
So what we're going to do is, even though this is a jam-packed team meeting, I'm still going to try to keep it to 45 minutes instead of an hour, starting in the spring, so that we have 15 minutes to travel. Because at the end of the meeting, we usually have like 5, but I want to give us 15 to travel to get there, get on the boats. And then I'm going to start, you know, talking and doing everything, depending on how many people we have, depends on how many boats that we'll get. But 1 or 2, that's why I have to draw names, because there's only so many that we can, I'll probably get 2 pontoons if we do it.
I got one thing too with that too. So we had 2 different real estate agents that we do business with on our team that actually joined the boat club last year. And both of them utilize the boat club as closing gifts. So basically, you print off a little certificate and say, here you go, John and Miss Smith or whatever. You know, here's a afternoon on me on the boat, and basically the real estate agent will provide whatever alcohol they like or whatever,
Yeah.
with maybe some food, whatever, and say, hey, we can go out to Portsmouth or we're going to Norfolk, and then they schedule it. You say but the caveat is give me 3 weeks advance notice, right?
Yeah.
And you know, that's kind of a cool, it's a way different closing gift than anybody else that you're gonna see in the closing gifts. Everybody gets charcuterie boards and doormats and all that. All that's great, don't get me wrong, they're great closing gifts, it's just, we're trying to set ourselves apart.
I at one point would love for someone who actually has a client for us to take them out and do a closing on the boat. I think that's something that's different. It would give you guys, especially, I'm all about getting you out on social media right now. I think that the clients that I know the most are usually Munesh and Nikita's, because they always introduce me to their clients. So I'm happy to be in front of any of your clients, but they're always putting their clients in front of me. And I think that would, if you guys wouldn't mind, as a token, if we could get somebody in the spring for you guys to be our first trial and do a closing on the boat. We would have to try to use Craig on one of the deals, so that we can make sure that, you know, it would be kind of weird if you use another lender and then use it in the video. But I would like to gather that together to do one, and then we'll take them out and we'll have like a nice thing. We just can't, when we video it, which I'll give you guys the info later on when we do it, but we just can't show any alcohol, you know, but we will have some for them, of course. But we just can't show it in the video. But I think that would be something great. And then if it goes well, we can all talk about doing that with other high-end clients and everyone doing it. So my joining of this is not just for me, because again, I have a boat I'm very happy with my boat, and we fish and we play and we have a great time, but this is for you guys. So I want to make sure this is something we get to take you guys out on. The mentors, they're all in here, I believe. We will be doing mentor meetings out there. That is your perk. ALC, most of my ALC is in here. You also get another perk. We're doing the ALC meetings out there. So it'll just be something extra. If you think that's a bad idea, please text me why, because sometimes I think things are great. And then they turn out not so great. So just text me of the negatives of that. And I'm happy to, the pontoon boats always have the bimini, which is the cover. So I think that's usually the best way to get sunburn. And then we'll also have some.
Thank you for pointing that out, because I was sitting there thinking, fuck, I'm gonna have to get a hat.
Yeah, Geico is supplying all the sunscreen for us, which is really nice.
Oh,
By Bob. So we have a bunch of that in Greg, of course, so.
Hey, I know Sarah's got great sunscreen too, by the way.
Oh, you wanna bring us some sunscreen, Sarah?
Sarah has a
Yeah,
great
we've got great sunscreen and it smells really
And
good.
it's
Cut,
got a peer
cut the
review.
Geico, and Sarah should bring the
Can
sunscreen.
we get some candy?
That's what we love.
Yeah, right? All right, so for the people that are up on the screen, again, if you come in person to these meetings in the warm weather, non-rainy days, chances are we could be on a boat afterwards for the Sense Broker if you wanted to go. So if you don't want to go, what will happen is you can still remain in the room, and we are going to try to broadcast it to the room itself, depending on how many people. Now, if it's only like one or two of you that stays, yeah, what's going to happen? But, and everybody else goes on it, right? But it just depends on how many people come. So if we have a bunch of people coming, we can only draw names of like 10, then obviously that's what's going to happen. So anyway, that's just a little perk I was going to tell you about at the end, but I felt like it was the right moment with Cardigan up here to be able to do it. Do you have anything else to say before I go to Lisa?
Yeah, the tacos, happy hour.
Oh, it's later. I have it up. Yeah, it's on the. Don't you like my? Yeah, I just see that. I'm so proud of her. She's so great. She's in the Philippines and she is just the most lovely person. I've met her family and everything now. And actually, I'm going to go to the Philippines next year to visit all of them once it's better. And just amazing. So if anybody wants to know more about Cyberbacker, ask. Ask Nikki and Minesh. I know them, they use them. We've got very close with both of our assistants. It's been great, yeah. So ask them about it. It's great. You can even split an assistant with somebody else. So it's $1,500 a month for 40 hours a week, but you can split that between 4 people if you want to. Ask them about it. They'll get a good referral on it if you do. All right, Lucy, you are up next. We have Lucy's love notes.
Do I have to stand up?
No. Your name, look, you're right there. You're right there. Do you want me to pull this up first, the next slide?
Yeah, let's go.
And I have it like it's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you tell me when you want to go.
Just at the, right there.
Okay.
We ran into a situation last month with rain and their lovely fines and change of heart and whether or not they're going to allow something. So we're just gonna play hardball, and we're changing the rules within the office to fulfill the latest fine-based need. So the requirements on the signature line of listing documents when an entity owns the property, an LLC, a corporation, and so forth, okay? It now has to say the name, comma, title within the company. And underneath, it needs to say owner and the name of the company. Okay? This is, Carla caught this. She worked with the agent and she thought she was working with Rain. They were immediately making the changes each time Rain came back with a new change, and the agent got fined anyway. So we're taking it seriously. We're gonna nip it in the bud. We're not gonna have it happen. So every document within the listing package needs to be signed this way. We only got hit on the disclosures, but we're not taking that at face value with Rain. We're going all in, all the signatures, all the listing documents need to be this way, because listing documents are what Rain audits. And if we do it this way, we don't have to make changes before we send an audit in.
Is this just for the signature, or when we put, you know how like on the purchase agreement, it says seller, would the seller still need to be listed like that, or would it just be the owner, LG Enterprises?
It would just be the owner on the seller line. The seller's the entity.
Yeah.
And then
The signature.
the
needs to have
signature
the
has to have
information.
this, and you need to make sure that that signature line matches those LLC docs. Whether it says sole proprietor, whether it says president, whether it says manager, whether it says co-owner, whatever it says, that's what needs to be in the signature line. Okay,
Yes, for everybody that doesn't know, when you do a listing or a purchase with an LLC, you have to have stamped articles of organization in your hands.
yeah, you need to have all of those corporation, LLC, whatever documents before you sign the listing papers, and those need to be added to your transaction in brokerment so that I can look at it, so that I can verify that the titles are correct and that everything is signed correctly. So let's go to the next slide. This is,
I have one more question. So if this person, let's say an LLC is working with somebody who is making decisions for them, however, they're not a part of the LLC, but they have do we need to get in writing that this person is now an authorized signer for this LLC?
oh, absolutely.
But you know what I mean, like, is that how I fill that out?
Yes.
Okay,
So then in the signature line, it would be John Smith, authorized signer.
okay, for blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
Okay.
And you
Just
will
making
have
sure.
the documentation to back that up
Yes,
at the ready in the transaction,
yes,
okay? Because
In brokerment,
yes.
you never know.
not instant. You can use instant, but in
You can
brokerment.
use Instinet, but it needs to be housed
Yeah,
in
in
brokerment so that the admin can get to it in case we get hit with something on a moment's notice, and we can prove why we've got it signed this way,
Okay,
okay? So this is how it looked. The little squiggle was all that was there to begin with, and Camus Properties was not there. So we added Camus Properties and sent it back. Well, no, that wasn't good enough. Now it had to say the full name, comma, president with that. So when you do the initials on the lead-based paint, it now says RS, comma, pres in that spot.
Oh, okay.
So,
So the initials, you include initials plus press,
yes,
president.
yes, or MGR for manager.
So that's all one person,
It's all one
even just
person.
initials? So they're gonna have to initial it two
Well,
separate times, or is that
No,
the corrected
the
initials?
squiggle is the original,
Yeah,
the one on the right is the
the
corrected.
corrected one,
The
okay.
corrected one, yes.
So,
Okay?
and
You don't
even with
need
the
the squiggle
signature, it's the corrected one to the left that we need to worry about, not the squiggle.
Right, now, here's where it gets interesting. Carla's gonna have to tell you how to set that up in brokerment so that you get it done properly.
Yeah.
She's on standby, she knows, and so that's what's gonna happen. Any other questions? Every signature line of every listing document.
And
Period.
every initial line.
Every initial, every signature, every listing document.
so every initial is not just the initials.
Correct.
So we have to write under the initials too?
No, next to the initials is gonna be RS, comma, pres, RS, comma, owner, RS, comma, manager,
It's their initials and their title.
and their title.
Okay, just
It's
double
gotta be that
checking.
one thing on that one signature / initial line.
Okay.
I mean, you can do that in brokerman, DocuSign,
But they're not gonna be able,
Dotloop, whatever.
they're not going to be able to do their own little handwritten squiggle anymore. That's not gonna suffice.
No, it's gotta be a proper electronic signature,
Yep.
readable and legible.
Okay.
So,
They're making things harder for a reason because there are a lot of shadiness happening,
and
not in our office, just
Like
in the world.
like I said, they are only requiring it on the disclosures right now. I'm not willing to play their game. We're gonna go all in, and it's gonna be every signature and initial line on every listing document from here forward.
Can I see those initials one more time? Just to be clear. Okay. Okay,
So it's the one on the right side is
Yes.
what is correct.
I really can't see from here, I can see the bottom line, obviously, the signature, comma, president, but the initials.
Come
on the
over, you
right-hand
can
side.
come over and look at my.
Okay.
it's just tiny, so it's initials, comma, president.
It's
So it's actually
initials,
initials.
comma, PRES.
Okay, got it, okay.
Manager,
Yeah,
MGR.
MGR manager.
Yeah.
I would spell out owner.
Okay,
We're just gonna have to make it work. If
And we're
it
gonna-
spills out into the margin, it spills out into the margin.
That's, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that
Yeah.
it's,
I'm
Yeah,
sending
I
the
understand.
slideshow out afterwards as well.
okay.
But that is just for corporations. If it's just the owner, we don't have to write owner, right?
No, it's
Just
correct.
a simple
No,
person.
owner is already, no, as long as it's just a seller and there's no entity involved, nothing has changed. This is only for entities.
LLCs.
With
Okay.
listing name buyers, right?
I'm sorry,
With listing name buyers, right?
buyers, we already do it.
Okay.
We have not been hit yet on buyers signing disclosures. Wouldn't be a bad idea to just jump in.
Just do it.
Just jump in, you now have the knowledge, you know it's potentially coming. Let's beat Rain at their own game and not give them any more money. Okay, because you know they'll fine you if they can.
David said they need to use the type it in feature as opposed to signing themselves.
And David would know because this is his deal.
Type it in feature, use the type it in feature as opposed to
So
signing
when
it
it goes
yourself.
to the client, there's a,
Yeah.
there's an option
Yep.
to press type it in.
Yep, thanks, David. Also, Susan said, looking at the BB zoning, whoop, then it fill in properly with the full title. Thank you, David. Susan said, looking at the VB zone ordinance, the resort area is the only designated tourism activity zone in the city. She can't find a map with a zone boundary.
I found it.
You did?
I found it.
Do you have a link for it?
Well, I gotta pull it back up. Yeah.
Okay, can you put it in the chat? Cool, thank you so much. I don't know if Susan's still on here. If she is. Susan, are you still on here? Okay, I think she left. Can you also email it to me and Susan after you put it in the chat? Thank you so much. I appreciate
I
it.
do have a couple other things.
Yep, go ahead.
I'm not quite done.
Yep, I don't think there's anything else in the chat. I think you're good. You can
Okay.
keep going.
Once again, I want to remind everybody, please don't submit partially signed packages, whether they be listings or purchases. I don't want your requested exemption for a pickup because you know you waived it on your purchase agreement that is not yet ratified. I love you, but I don't want your stuff. Okay?
She's gonna tell your mentors on you.
I'm gonna reject it. I'm gonna reject it with the reason why, and you're gonna have to resubmit it anyway.
Yeah.
So just because you know you wrote the offer with no inspection, doesn't mean you need to go through and click exempt, 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 exempt. Hi, Lucy, here's this. I have nothing to back it up. I have no substantial documentation to back up this exemption. You can't have it. So, sorry, but no, okay? And along with that, please don't ask for exemptions on non-required documents. I don't need you to ask for an exemption for appraisal receipts or for a survey or anything that is not required. It has a little asterisk and it says required all in all caps. If that document is not being provided, you need to ask for an exemption and give me a reason why. For example, lead-based paint, you need to tell me built in 1983. Okay? I think that's it. Any other questions?
I just wanna make sure the
No, how
chat.
else can we drive to the same today?
Oh, there's so many ways you can do it.
Yeah.
There's so many ways.
So fabulous.
Then what happens is I have to have therapy sessions with you guys because Lucy lost it. Then I have to have therapy session with Lucy because Lucy lost it. Then I have to find someone to have a therapy session with myself because Lucy lost it. So it just keeps going downhill. So just don't. Yep. All right. So go ahead.
If you've got questions, ask.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing. Like, I've really appreciated the fact that Lucy comes here every week. So Stump the Broker, just so you guys know, is one of the best meetings that we have. It is one that is never the same. Everyone always learns something, whether you're tenured or new. It's amazing. We have it in this room, and soon there was a piece of paper just fell off top of that building. That's weird. And soon we will have it on boats as well. But it's given everyone a chance to really understand Lucy and know that she's actually very squishy. And not as stern as you would think. She's our velvet hammer. Sometimes because Lucy's responses are automated, she just hits with reason. So just so you know, on our side, when we say reject, we have a list. We hit a button of which reason is the reason to reject. It's not Lucy sitting there typing out going, I don't like you because you have red hair. And you are always wrong. That's not what's happening. She's like, okay, this is rejected. She moves on because she's doing this at least 40 to 50 times a day of anything that she's reviewing, right? So she don't take it personal. But the nice thing is on Tuesday she's here, and you guys get to see just how squishy and loving and cushy she is. And so it puts the personality with her, and I love her personality, and it gets you to where you actually know Lucy, and she's not the person behind the screen that's hitting the no button. And so if you guys can, I think most of the people in this room do come to the Tuesday. In fact, almost everyone here comes to the Tuesday ones. Yeah, I think everyone
Well,
here.
and
does.
almost
The people
everyone-
up there, you guys need to come to the Tuesday ones, because you can learn how awesome Lucy is. So
Everybody who's in here can tell you that I always respond.
she does.
Yeah.
She does.
Always
And I will
respond.
tell you what, if you reach out to me, and I haven't asked you, did you talk to Lucy yet? I've already asked Lucy if you talked to her. Because if you talked to Lucy, Lucy would have reached out to me before you did, because Lucy would have texted me and said, sending someone your way before you ever reached out to me. And chances are, if I haven't got that text, you haven't talked to Lucy. Or the worst thing ever, you really want to get me and Lucy going at the same time, is whenever someone says, yeah, I already talked to Lucy, but I want your opinion too.
You guys, we
Cute.
talk. We
It's
talk.
so cute. That's so cute. Hold on, let me get Lucy on the phone so she can hear my opinion too. That's my response, and that's what's gonna happen, and you'll have me and Lucy there, and then that's not gonna be a very good moment. Because I entrust Lucy, and I know that she knows way more about that contract than I do, because when I don't do it every day, I'm not gonna remember it all, right? She has the answers. You guys wanna know how to boost your business up, how to negotiate, how to argue with somebody when it comes down to getting what's right for your client. Or if you want to learn how to do social media, or you want to learn how to get more leads, that's my lane. That's my highway. She is contracts all day, every day, until she says, Tom's gonna take it over, and I go. But she is that. And make sure you go to your mentors first, too, with what those ones who have them. All right, Lucy, question that you would like to ask the group?
The summary of rights, which we lovingly refer to as chapter 7,
Raise your hand, do not yell.
is it a required document for the contract?
Adam,
Yes.
Correct.
Hey, my parents like red, so I'll give her a plate.
all right. Okay, so we have events coming up. Just so everybody knows, Stump the Brokers every Tuesday. Every Monday and Friday is virtual coaching with Bill Crespo. Just so you know, people pay $800 a month to have that coaching, and Bill has more coaching coming up. I am saddened to say that none of our new agents go on Monday and Friday.
What?
Did you hear me?
Really?
I said none.
What?
I said none.
Not acceptable.
Correct. We have agents who are not closing deals and complaining that they're not closing deals, but not going on to Bill's Monday and Friday to learn how to get business to close deals. Not cool, not cool. You know, I pop on those, just saying it. That's how important they are. I pop on, I get to listen, get to hear what's going on with the market. I get to hear other people make calls. I get to understand it. I don't make calls, I listen. Number 2, we also have, which we'll go to the next one. We also have Nikki and Manesh who teach classes with making calls, top teams. A couple people make it. 10 million plus producers are telling you how to win FISBOs, how to get leads, and also handing out some leads for you to go and call. And a couple people make it. A couple people make it. They just got up for sale by owner just a few days ago. Sealed it, done. Going to teach everybody that Thursday how to do it, and a couple people will make it again. Ask yourself if you should be in real estate at this point. If you are anyone that I'm talking about right now, ask yourself if you should be in real estate. There's some people that can't make it. I get it. They're not the ones complaining to me. They're not the ones saying, I can't. The ones that are complaining, you guys aren't closing deals, you're not. Ask yourself, who is the problem? Because no one's taking advantage of it. I know that's hard to hear, and I'm sorry, but it's the truth. We have other items for rain that is also in the calendar for you guys to look at. Please utilize the events portion of our Facebook. If we sent all these out in emails, you guys would end up getting 1 million emails. You already get the text. I don't know how much more to remind you, but we can't do too much more of it. We have a North Carolina class coming up on the 19th. Which is going to be really good. Just remember your North Carolina license, you get that for free with us. You just have to sign up, talk to Caitlin. And on the 19th, we also have Reagan. What do we have on the 19th?
It's gonna be something to talk about. doing there's a new taco restaurant that's opened up in, it's not Park Place.
It's the railroad district.
Railroad, thank you so much. It's right next to O'Connor's Brewery. I'm sure everyone knows, most people know where O'Connor's is. It's called Union Taco. That it's chef owned, it's the owner of Union Ale House as well. He does very great creations, so to speak. But yeah, first round's on me. Come out, there'll be some food, obviously, of course.
Yep.
Thomas and I will be providing some food for you all.
Yep.
And
And your
it'll be a good time.
second
4 to 6.
round is on me. So first round's on him, your second round is on me. Your third round can be on me if
You answered the 78% question.
if you have a ratified contract, a closing, or a listing that you have inputted for the month of January.
3
So
rounds.
you can have 3 drinks. Now, you are always allowed to bring a significant other to all of our events. Just know that the appetizers are for the agents though, right? The drink, you can share your drink, but it's still, you get 1, 2, or 3, depending on your situation, or 4 or 5 if you have a couple ratified, right? It's per ratified, per listing, per, yep. And so you can, yes, well, if you are getting to the point, and as most of you know, if you get to the point that I see that you had a few and you are going to drive, I will take you down and rip the keys from your hand. You're not getting in the car. So I haven't had a problem in 16 years. I don't ever want to have that problem. Just know that there is Uber and I will even pay the Uber to get you home. You all know that.
Me too.
Yep, and so don't make me wrestle you in front of people. You're gonna look so bad. You're gonna look so bad.
I had one more thing too, Thomasina, I forgot about. We're actually hosting a small event tonight. It's about learning how to get money for down payment and closing costs. It's going to be at the Hilton Garden Inn in Suffolk tonight. It's a free event.
Can you put it on our Facebook group? Do you mind?
Yeah, I can. I just sent you the link as well. I texted you the link.
Okay, cool.
It's
Can you put it in the chat? I can put it in the chat.
yeah,
section.
that's why I texted you, put it in chat. I'm so sorry. A gentleman by the name of Daryl Jordan and Courtney, my fiance, is gonna be speaking, and she surprised me and said, you're gonna be speaking with me too. So, but either way, it's gonna be, I think it'll be a good event for anyone that's interested in learning how to just get more money for down payments and things of that sort. Not just for yourselves, obviously, but for your clients, obviously, is what we're aiming for. It's from 7 to 8:30, and I will put the link to sign up in the KW family.
Yeah, if you don't mind, if you could do that, and then I'll put the link for the one who
And then
just
you
sent.
can kind of read about, I definitely give you this super flip notes on it.
Yep.
Kind of what they're gonna talk about.
All right, we have some other events too. I just wanted to put them up here so you can see them. Again, this slideshow will go out, but it's also in the events page. You also get a weekly update, a daily update, and a monthly update from our admin. I don't know how you could ever miss any of it, but it happens. So now you're also getting a slideshow of it. I mean, come on, guys. You definitely got to make it to these. And so we have a lot of things. As you know, last year we had 244 trainings in a year. This year we have 315.
Wow.
If anyone ever says they didn't have training or the skill set in order to do business at our office, it wasn't because we didn't provide it. Promise you that, because these are also recorded and put on YouTube. So even the people that can't come can view. Also, I can see how many views some of them get, and that's not happening either. So you have plenty of training. Make sure you take advantage of it. A lot of people have to pay for this.
And a little tidbit, any training you want to do on YouTube, put it at 1 1/4 or 1 1/2 speed, and you can get it done faster.
Yep, absolutely. All right, we have 2 new agents that have joined us since our meeting. One is Jimmy Ray. You guys have seen him. Jimmy Ray was with me before, and now he has moved over here. A lot of agents already know him. If you think he looks, sounds, or his name looks familiar, it's because he used to be on the radio. He also has his own podcast and radio show that he actually is doing from our office.
Oh, nice.
Right? He also plays in the band with Bill. So he has a lot of talents. I love Jimmy Ray. He's amazing. I've never had one bit of problem with him in all the years I've done business with him, even previous to real estate. So if you want to learn a lot about people and being around people and how to do things, he's the guy to listen to. Jimmy Ray, are you on here to be able to unmute? I'm going to have him, because sometimes he's listening whenever he's out and about. I'm going to have him send a link to his podcast as well, and put it on our Facebook so that you guys can listen to it. But he is in that little room doing podcasts and different things to bring awareness to real estate, I guess I should say, you know. So he may ask one of you guys if you'd like to interview and whatnot, but it'll definitely get you guys a little bit of a promotion out there, and you can always add that to any social media that you want to, saying that you're on a podcast, which is kind of cool because his is pretty popular. The next one is Christian Johnson, and she is coming over from Fit, and so she has joined us. She has been in real estate for, I think, about 2 years as far as her license, but she also does a lot of flips and new construction and different things like that. So she's a wealth of knowledge when it comes to that. She has been around doing that. She has 20 some properties they're getting ready to put up, I believe, at the end of this month. So they're doing a lot, which is great. She came from a brokerage, Chris, I think it was 100% brokerage, and she wasn't getting the training she needed. So she would rather come to an 80-20 as opposed to, I mean, obviously you can get 100% here with your cat, but she would rather come to an 80-20 as opposed to stay at the 100%, because she said, if I can just learn this much from you, I think I can go from here to here. And she reached out to me, and I am not ashamed to say, she reached out to me because I was doing reels on Facebook. It does bring in clients. Remember, what I get agents on, you guys get clients on, right? And that's what we're trying to teach you. Mary Frances is doing a huge session, and she's doing it tomorrow, I believe, at the Hilltop office. So please make sure that you attend. It will be at the Hilltop office. I'm going to be there towards the end of it to speak for a little bit about how I have made $14,000 in the last 30 days on reels on Facebook.
Well,
Not even kidding. So I will teach you how to do that as well. And then we'll be able to hopefully get you guys a second income. And I've also done that with only 2 to 3 hours a week of work. So I would say definitely show up to Wednesdays if I was you.
is it
And
every
Wednesday.
Wednesday? Or just tomorrow?
She does it once a month.
Okay, once a month.
Yep, she does it once a month.
At what time?
Can you look on the event?
It's on my Facebook.
Yeah, okay, because I'd have to look back in the thing, or I would totally look. Okay, it's on the, yeah, it's on the Facebook thing. I think it's 10, but just double check on that. I don't want to. I'm sorry?
10 to 11.
There you are. Hey, Mary Frances, what up, girl?
Hey, I've been on here listening. But yes.
I figured. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you're going to go over tomorrow?
Yes. Okay, so I am doing it at the Hilltop office. I know some people had mentioned that they, wanted some classes to be there. So I decided that tomorrow's going to be there. And I am going to be teaching you guys all about Instagram Reels. As Thomasina mentioned, you can make money off of it, lots of it. You'd be surprised. I'm going to teach you how to create them. And if you don't have an account already, I will show you how to create that as well. And yeah, we'll just kind of give you guys a little bit of pointers and where you can get ideas from and things like that.
Awesome. Thank you, Mary Frances. And I'll be there towards the end just to give a few little insights as well. So we'll be able to help you guys out, start that journey tomorrow. We're also going to have a few more classes along the way, and I'm going to do some reels with how to do these in order to make money. If you have any family members that want to learn about this, this is not just for you. Please bring your family members as well. I know there are some of your kids that would like to learn how to do reels and do things. You are more than welcome to bring them to these sessions. I have one of the agents here that their daughter does it, and I was so proud of her, and I've actually done a few with her because she wanted to learn, and it's super fun for kids if they do it the right way. So definitely bring the kids if you want to. I suggest that they are 18 or above, but I've seen a lot, 15, 16, even younger do it, but just make sure you monitor it when they do it. All right, cappers, we have Brian O'Donnell, who was a capper last meeting, super proud. Yeah, we're running over, so I'm going to try to go a little faster. So here are the top agents, top listing agent in units. Congratulations, Stacy Porter. She also hit it for volume. Congratulations, Stacy. Top closing agents in units, we have Jordan Hodgkins. And then for volume, we have Brian O'Donnell. See a correlation between the cappers and the top agents here. Top listing team in units. Munesh Nikita Holmes. And in volume as well. Congratulations. Top closing. By the way, did we just see who the top listing team and units in volume is
Yeah.
to get listings? I wonder how you can learn how to do it the way they do.
I have no idea. Attend their training.
What? What a brilliant idea! Sarah! All right, top closing team and units is Casey with the Team Rockstar. And then in volume also, Christine Team Rockstar. Congratulations, ladies. All right, testimonials. Regina had a testimonial she sent to me and posted on Facebook. Now, when I post these for you on Facebook, make sure you're utilizing them as well, putting it on all platforms. Congratulations, Regina, on your testimonial. Great job. And birthdays. Tiffany, Olivia, Nicole, Jordan, and Christy. She put Christine, and I'm sorry, Christy. She did her best. She did her best. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Christy, Jordan, Nicole, Olivia, Tiffany. Happy birthday to you. All right, work anniversary, 7 years, Regina Artis. First year Carrie with us, 6 years, Jessica Richards. Chris Rivers has did his first year with us as well. Adam, your second year. All right, better time. Sarah, you are up to bat, ma'am.
Okay, guys, I'll make it short and sweet for you all. We changed our monthly training from Tuesdays to the first Thursday of each month. So we're kicking it off next month, in February. The big Thursday is the 3rd. We're going to do a Valentine themed pop by workshop for you all. So we'll have all the goodies that you can make pop buys for your clients. And we'll serve like mimosas and stuff, make it fun, and do it from 10 to 11 at the Hilltop office. So I'll be sure to, it's on Facebook, but I'll make sure to send something else out about it. And I also want to introduce Alex Bird. She came to the holiday party.
Yes, she did.
So you guys met her. She's